Everyone right now should be downloading step 2. If you do not have an iPad or you're experiencing problems with your iPad, raise your hand.
Wait, step 2 presentation template?
Yeah, step 2. I'm playing with the phone. So, I hope you guys realize this, all right? I know you're doing a history presentation sort of preparation right now, but what I hope you're getting out of this a little bit too is that whatever you do in here, you can also maybe take to another class. ELA for science or the presentation. What you did with step 1, and I hope, once again, I hope you realize this, with step 1 is you did the research. You looked at primary sources, you looked at secondary sources, right? You gathered facts, put them all in that step 1 template. Now, you have step 2 of this trial process. Notice we're not just jumping right into the trial and saying, okay, let's just go. We're preparing for it. Step 2 is now, okay, I have the facts, I have the knowledge, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to make like a script, essentially. I'm going to prepare myself for what I'm going to say and present to the jury, to my fellow classmates, and to the outstanding judges that will be there as well. All right? So that's what you're doing right now. And then the last step of this, we'll do next week on Monday probably, is we will rehearse. That's the last final step, is I'm going to rehearse and say, okay, let me get this down so I feel comfortable with this. Yes?
Are we still working with our groups?
Yeah, you are. All right, so does everyone have step 2 open? What I want to do right now is I want to go over step 2 with you to make sure that we're all good with step 2, this template. This template will be submitted and it will be graded. Now, one thing that I've learned from step 1, and I need you all to pay attention to this, is that I found 2 faults with step 1. First is that I found that some students were doing all the typing. They were sharing the documents and they were doing all the typing, and other people were just kind of sitting back and doing nothing, right? So that's not going to happen. For this, step 2, there's no sharing. You can't share that document. Everyone has to complete it. Everyone has to submit it on their own. Now, are you allowed to get together in your group, discuss, share ideas and things like that as well? Are you allowed to do that? Absolutely. Of course, that's what I want you to do. The second reason is because sharing is not always caring that way. Sharing does not allow you to upload the assignment for some reason. I don't know why it doesn't let you. If it's a shared document, it will not allow you to upload it. And I'll talk to you guys in a little bit when I get everybody settled. All right? So we are all going to complete this document, and we are all going to stay away from sharing. Capiche?
Yes.
Understand that? Okay. Give me a couple minutes right now. I want to go over this to make sure you all understand what you're doing. All right? Do we have this open? Is there anyone who's not have this open yet? Okay, what's going on? What's that? It's in the People versus King George III folder. Yep. Mock trial.
And now I should go back to make some.
Okay. Today, tomorrow, and Thursday, you will have the opportunity to work on this with your group. It will most likely be due on Thursday. Friday, we'll take a little bit of a break time out, and then on Monday, we'll rehearse, and Tuesday will probably be the trial. That's what we're aiming for. All right? All right, let's talk about this real quick. So, first things first. There are 3 parts. There are 3 parts to our template that's going to help us get our thoughts together. First part is the introduction statement. Any good lawyer, when they're going to deliver a case, they're going to inform the audience or the judge or the jury what is going to happen in this particular trial. They're going to tell them what they're hoping to prove. So the first thing that you guys and girls are going to do today is your assertion. Nope. And what that means, take a look at what that means next to it. What this means right here is that you are going to introduce the case and you're going to give your thesis statement. You guys are familiar with thesis statement, ELA? What does the thesis statement do? What does the thesis statement do in ELA? Zoe?
It's like
Okay, it's your opening sentence, and what is the purpose of it?
to tell your reader what this essay is going to be about.
Very good. What this is going to be about. Kate.
Yeah, basically states the claim that the
Very good. So your thesis statement is your claim, what this trial is about. Yes?
It can also, like, from it, you can figure out, like, what side they're on, like.
Very good. You can figure out what side they're on, Matt said as well. Okay, so for you, the way I like you to look at this is, what are you going to focus on for this trial? What are you going to accuse, for you guys, because you guys are the colonist side, what are you going to accuse the king of? Who has the Boston Massacre? Okay, according to your perspective, right, let's take yours as an example. What would your assertion be? What would your thesis be? What are you accusing the king of, according to the Boston Massacre? Richard?
Killing our colony.
Yeah, so your actual is murder. That's your thesis, right? Your thesis is, for you in your event, is that the king and Parliament and the Redcoats, everything associated with them, they're murderers. They've committed murder, They've committed murder, and they're at fault for this particular event, all right? For the rest of you, you have to figure out a way to kind of finagle it or tweak the wording to describe what your focus is. Is your focus unfair treatment of taxes? Whatever, any of those things, okay? All right, we okay with that? Good. How about this one now? Evidence. This next part is, in your opening statement, you also have to mention, all right? Notice how I say mention. You don't get into it yet, but you mention it. You say, hey, okay, so we're accusing the king and Parliament and the Redcoats of being murderers. In this case, we are going to prove to you this by presenting a primary source. That could be one of my pieces of evidence. How many of you had Lexington and Concord? Lexington and Concord, right? Remember the Google slide that has all the perspectives of what happened? Right? You guys can pick a colonist perspective and use that as an example of your evidence. All right? Or you can use an object. Or you can use an object to justify your evidence. Who has, let's see, who has, you want to go on the Boston Massacre again?
Snowball.
A snowball, right? Now, what would you use, when you have that, when you talk about the snowball, what would that be? What's the
Oh, wait, no,
evidence?
we didn't make snowballs. We didn't do that.
Okay, so you don't want to use a snowball, right? You don't want to show that you're bad, that you were acting inappropriately or acting out as
We didn't
well.
do it.
All right? Good. Okay, so any object that you guys can think of that will help justify your claim. So far, with the introduction, can I erase this? Are we all good with that?
Yeah.
All right, let me move on to the next part. The next part's actually pretty self-explanatory. This is more or less saying, okay, in my introduction, after I tell you like what we're going to focus on, and then after I tell you the evidence I'm going to use, without going into detail, I'm basically going to say, here's what I want. What do I want you to do, jury, in this case? Do I want the king to be innocent? Or what? Guilty. You guys have to decide that. Hopefully you know by this point that what we want the king to be declared as, or what we want. What's wrong with Richard?
Innocent of guilty.
No, it's actually or. I kind of made a mistake because of the targeting. I like your little pony. Was that a ponytail? What would you call that? Is that a man bun?
No, it's a unicorn.
A unicorn. Is this like a horn?
Unicorn.
Good. I like that. It looks nice.
Legit.
All right. Okay, so that's part one. Part two. Part two is your actual evidence. It's funny. Mr. D struggling with that. It's funny. Okay, so part two now is pretty self-explanatory. As in, here's my evidence now. After I give my opening statement, I'm then going to go into and say, okay, court, here's Exhibit A. My first piece of evidence is going to be this. And then I explain how it connects. So I put it there. Let's say, I don't know, a musket, right? My first piece of evidence is a musket. And then I describe it, how it connects. Then my second piece of evidence is a primary source. then I describe it. This is where you guys and girls get to be creative. This is where you try to figure out, hey, what can I make, what can I use to show that the British were bad, the king was bad, the king is wrong, Parliament's wrong. All right. Any questions on part 2? Nope. All right, part 3, last one. Part 3 is as follows. Part 3. Nope. Closing statement. Closing statement is part 3. Closing statement is this is like your lasting impression. This is the last thing that you get to say to the jury or to the judge or to the audience. This is the last thing they'll hear from your side. So it's very important. And what you do is you just reiterate, hey, right here, I presented to you, I showed you the musket. I also showed you a primary source about an eyewitness account. Then after that, I'm going to remind them, this is the side that I'm on. I'm on the colonist side. I'm making sure that they're going to prosecute the king for all of his wrongdoing. You get to use good, colorful language in this, though. You get to say things, school appropriate, that are going to emphasize guilt or innocence in that case, right? You're going to say things about the king, they're going to make him look bad. That's the purpose of this section. Nope, not that, Richard. And finally, what the jury should decide. You're going to try to influence them to decide guilt or innocence for this last part. Okay? So that's what we're going for today. That's what we're going to use as our template to guide us through this process. I'm not just going to let you guys cut loose and start writing stuff down and not have it organized. I want to be organized. I want to help you guys with organization. Last but not least, let me show you 2 things that are going to help you. In Schoology, I have provided for you an opening statement example right here. You can actually take the whole thing and you can rewrite it the way that you need to. You can take out words. For instance, this is about a car accident. This is a lawyer who delivered an opening statement about a car accident. But you're not talking about a car accident. You're talking about, I don't know, Lexington and Concord, the T, any of those things, right? I also provided you with another example of a closing statement as well. So you can use this to help guide you in your thought process when you're coming up with your opening and closing statements. All right?
Yes.
So you have 3 days to do this. I hope you were paying attention during this process. If you were not, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to rely on each other then. All right? So you have the rest of the class to work on this. You have tomorrow, and you also have Thursday. All right? I need to talk to some people about missing work. So make sure that you guys are listening out for your name and you stay focused today. All right? Are there any questions about opening, closing, or today's step 2? All right, let's get to work.
Oh.